I'm Shel Talmy, and you're listening to SixPack.
Six pack.
One six pack to go.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, welcome
Thank
to the
you.
podcast.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So you're in LA at the moment, is that right?
That is correct.
And you're from LA originally?
No, I'm from Chicago originally.
Chicago.
I was moved out here when I was about 15, so I think I'm from here.
But interestingly, a lot of the work you did was based in London. How did that come about?
I was a recording engineer here in LA at a studio called Conway, which was owned by an English guy, and he kept telling me how wonderful England was and how I shouldn't miss it. And I said, okay, enough's enough. Before life passes me by, I'm booking 5 weeks. I'm going over there. I'll see London. I'm going to go to Paris, and I'll be back. And I already had a deal here in LA for 4 records. And anyways, I got there, and I took the precaution of asking my friend Nick Finet, who was at Capitol. Well, I didn't ask him. I told him I was going to London, and it would be nice if I could work for a couple of weeks. I didn't have a whole lot of bread. And he said, here's 2 of my acetates I just finished. Take them and say you produced them. I said, okay, great. So we did. And I got there and arranged for an appointment through somebody else that I recommended me to somebody from UA, as a matter of fact. And when I got to meet Dick Rowe at Decca, I said, here's what I just did. So I gave him the 2 estates, which were Lou Rawls and the Beach Boys. And he said, you start today. So
Classic tale of fake it till you make it.
Yeah, you blagged your way in.
That's amazing.
I absolutely blagged my way in. But then I didn't expect to be there very long. But by the time they found out it was all BS, I already had a hit. So,
and 5 weeks, it turned into a number of years, didn't it?
17 years.
Wow,
Amazing.
and what a time to hit London.
That was the best part, because who knew? At the time, I was absolutely in the right place at the right time, and it was an irreplaceable decade. I would not have changed that for anything.
Amazing. So that was around about 1964 that you arrived there, is that right?
62.
62, okay. So a couple of years before you were working with bands like the Kinks. So what were the first kind of projects you were working on?
They gave me, the first thing they gave me was the Bachelors, who were basically 3 Irish guys who played harmonica. And I suppose in retrospect, they were testing me. And so I rehearsed them at my tiny little flat and chose who was going to be the singer, because they had somebody who was not the right guy, the lead singer it is, and rehearsed them. And we went in to record at the Olympic Studio, which is, I'm sure you know of. And I was not real wonderfully keen on the whole thing, because what they wound up doing was kind of pseudo country. And anyway, so I liked the song. I mean, it was an old song. It was charming. And we did it. It didn't take me very long. And it was a hit. So therefore, I stayed.
You passed the test.
Yeah.
So you were in there. So were you working as like a freelance producer then? Because traditionally...
I was totally independent producer. In fact, that's when I first saw Dick Rowe. That's what I said. Excuse me. Everybody at that time in London, producers were on weekly salary with no royalties. I said, sorry, being brash and didn't care because I was going back, I thought. I'm an independent producer, which means I get royalties. So he said, okay. And I think I may have been the first guy in London to actually get royalties. Or if not, I was certainly in the first 2 or 3.
Well, that was the best move you ever made, probably,
Yeah. Well,
if you think about it. 'Cause,
it worked out, yeah.
yeah, wow, that's amazing. So
I was going to say, and you started sourcing your own bands, bringing bands, like you started sourcing the talent of bands you liked and bringing them into the studio.
Well, and that's how I finally decided that it was good to be an independent producer, because the first two bands I brought in were Manfred Mann and Georgie Fame, and they turned them both down on me. And I said, okay, well, next time I will. I didn't say that to them. I said, for the next band, I will not go here. And the next band I found was the Kinks.
Wow. And they were called the Ravens, weren't they, when you found
They
them?
were the Ravens then, yeah.
So, I mean, Decca had a little bit of a history of turning down some big bands.
Well, actually, Dick Rose gotten a bad rap. He did not turn the Beatles down.
Yes.
He gave the choice to his numero uno producer, who chose whatever the hell the other band was. I can't remember now. Instead of the Beatles, and so it's really. Dick did not. It just does not deserve to have a bad rap over that.
Yeah, it's gone down in history as that, but I'm sure that
of course that has.
bigger story than that. Yeah, amazing. So I mean, Decca was an amazing record label at the time. So did they sign the Kinks?
No, they were Pie, weren't they?
Pie.
And I took them to Pie. And I said that the next band I found was not going to Decca.
Yes, of course. Sorry, yeah, okay. So, and you were recording at Pie Studios as well, is that right?
Yes, I did. I did record at Pie Studios, but I also recorded a lot at IBC.
And we know on your Facebook you just put a great post about "Stop Your Sobbing," the Ray Lee song.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, it's as you saw from the post. I said, "Is this if anybody needed proof, this shows that Ray was writing great songs right from the beginning." And he wrote two great songs basically together, "Stop Your Sobbing" and "I Fall Asleep," which is a great song. And I will actually feature sometime in the foreseeable future. He was a great songwriter. He was extremely prolific. I mean, he could easily, in fact, did go home and write 8 or 9 songs, come back the next day with them. Not all were great songs, but then again, there's no songwriter in the world who writes all great songs.
That's true.
I sat down with him. We used to go through the stuff and decide that that one needs more work. That one needs a lot more work, and that one is cool now. So let's do it.
And he was writing a lot on the piano, wasn't he?
Yes, he liked playing them on the piano rather than the guitar.
Interesting. So, those first records with a lot of those bands back then had a lot of covers on them. So R&B covers, and maybe just one or two original songs like The Who and the Zombies and the Beatles and the Kinks also all were covering lots of things. And then they became these amazing songwriters. So what do you think it was that sort of made that transition?
Well, let's back up here. The reason why there were covers is because the labels demanded them. We did an album. They demanded that at least 4 or 5 of the tracks we did were covers of already well-known songs.
Was that because they thought the audience would want to hear those songs, or
whatever the reasons were? That's probably one of the reasons. Yeah. Whatever the other reasons were, I have no idea.
And you ended up writing one of the tunes on the first Kinks record, I saw.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
You know, my sleeve the other day, my copy of I don't know if you can get that, and I noticed that was one of your songs on there. So
yes, well, I've written a few songs, not a whole lot. I'm much rather produce than write. So
sure.
That's what I'm doing.
One of the songs that the Kinks wrote is called Session Man, which I thought was an interesting one. So you yourself, as the producer, probably would have been bringing in some session people to.
Oh, well, I did. Yeah, I did for the album in particular. Also, on You Really Got Me, I had Bobby Graham playing drums because Mick Avery was not available at the time for whatever reason I never found out. And Bobby Graham was like the premier drummer at that time in London.
So you had your pick of these players. So like Nicky Hopkins would be playing keys.
Oh, yeah, no, I was lucky enough to find Nicky Hopkins. Somebody told me that there was this kid who could really play great piano, and I went and sought him out, and he was, to say the least, brilliant, and we became very good friends.
Did you find Jimmy Page as well? Or was he?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so it was similar situation. Somebody said they knew the 17-year-old kid who could really play his butt off on guitar. I said, okay, I'm interested. They go find him. So I did, and I started using him a lot, and I introduced him around. Of course, he wound up playing for everybody.
Yeah, and Nicky Hopkins playing on the Who.
And I'll say it, he wound up playing for everybody too.